Hello, everyone. Welcome and welcome back to episode 20. How the hell did that happen? Episode 20 of Dicks and Politics. You've got me, Samantha.
Me, Adriana.
Oh, bitch.
No. It's occur. And you have me, CorBen.
Of course, we're going to kick this episode off with our favorite UK correspondent, Aurora, who's going to be giving us another Brexit update, and then we're going to get into hashtag, where CorBen is going to give us a review of Jordan Peele's new movie, Us. So stick around and join us for What's Burning. Aurora, I'm pretty sure that we need to call Theresa May and invite her over for some wine. Because she had one hell of a week. Oh my God. And I know you and I talked about this off air, but let's talk about it on air. Our girl Theresa May, she announced this week that if need be, she'll step down and she'll let someone else finish up negotiations. I can't imagine working as hard as she has and in such a public capacity just for MPs to be like, no, sorry, try again. So she's like, okay, yeah, no problem. Writes up a new deal. Hey guys, what do you think of this? No. So she's like, okay, no problem. Flies off to Brussels, tries to make it right. She's here, she's there. I mean, as someone who's over there, are there other women who also would like to invite Theresa May over for a glass of wine, or are we the only ones?
I think we should put forward like a motion. Women around the world, open your houses up to happy hour with Theresa May. Because I think the girl needs a bit of a sit down, I think. I mean, I don't know what she does in life to let loose, but she must be doing it 100 times that. I mean, they're working around the clock. It's ridiculous. And she's doing the most. I know. But again, for the third time, it has been denied. She lost by 50 votes on Friday night. And now she's thinking of putting forth a fourth vote. Whether that will work or not, I'm not sure. But again, the UK was meant to leave the EU on the 29th, which was Friday. Obviously that didn't happen because she got the extension, and now she has until the 12th of April to either get another extension or get people to approve what's going on. And I think the UK is getting faster and faster and faster at approaching a no-deal Brexit, and none of us know what that means. So, yeah, she's just working so hard to try to provide what the UK, well, not everyone, but the majority of the UK population voted for back in 2016, but no one's backing her, and it's just really frustrating. It's frustrating for her.
Why do you think that is, though? Like, is she not, and forgive my ignorance, is she not well liked? Why do you think she's having such a hard time rallying people behind her?
Well, from what I've been reading and hearing, it's because her deal is too soft. So she's always pitched, well, her famous phrase is Brexit means Brexit. And it's like, well, we don't know what that means. So we're going to need something better than that. But they've always said, we want it hard. We want to cut all ties. We want to become independent. And it's really difficult. I mean, they're the first country to ever leave the EU. So it's like divorcing when divorces weren't a thing. And you kind of need to figure out what it is that you're going to be cutting and what it is that you're going to be keeping. And it's an island, so as far as sort of commerce goes and trade, they need to organize how things are going to be shipped in through sort of either boats or ships or the channel or whatever is going to happen.
Yeah.
And there's just so much to consider. But also, if we go for a really hard Brexit, that probably means that it's going to be detrimental for life in Britain as we know it. I think it's just going to be too intense. So I don't know.
Oh my God, I just cannot. They don't like her deal. They want something harder. So then what would be the ideal deal then?
Well, I don't know. I mean, last week they literally voted on 8 different options. So they had no deal, her deal, another deal that's kind of entailing that the UK would be like Norway, so it would have the same economic sort of trade deals, but it would be its own country. And then they voted on whether they'd want a new referendum. Actually, obviously, we're recording on Saturday, but on Monday they will also be debating the the petition that was signed by 4 million people to revoke Article 50, which is the article in the EU Constitution that says if anyone wants to leave the EU, they will need to do this, that, and the other thing. So they will actually be debating whether they're going to be leaving the EU or not at this point. But, I mean, I don't see them revoking the article just because they've said so many times, that's not what the people voted for. But again, people didn't know what they were voting for at the time.
Right.
So I think that at this point they have way too many options. And I think someone just needs to say, this is what we're doing.
Exactly.
And that is it.
Why can't believe 8 options?
Yeah, I know.
What do you mean? I don't even have 8 options when I go to pick breakfast in the morning.
Oh my God, dude.
I don't even have 8 different lipsticks.
I am the most indecisive person on earth. If you give me 8 options, I'm going to be overwhelmed.
So you know how she said, she's like, all right, like, listen. Like, if this keeps blowing up on my face, like, I will step down. So she's going to step down and let someone else finish up the negotiations. Who is it that's going to be stepping up? Do we have any idea?
No, not really.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Another unknown. Another uncertainty.
We're just kind of swinging. Yeah, she has genuinely put her job on the line in order to get her deal passed. She has said, if you vote, I mean, this isn't going to happen now because they voted against it. But she genuinely said last week, if you vote for my deal on Friday, I will step down and I will not be involved in the second part of Brexit, which is kind of after Brexit happens, and then that's kind of the trial period or the settlement period that's going to happen. But I don't really know who is going to be the next prime minister if she were to step down. Yes. I mean, just call the Queen in. I know that she's not meant to have an opinion about politics, but I feel like at this point she just needs to step in and be like, look, this is my country, you're fucking it up.
I mean, really, look, this needs to get sorted out, and I love how everyone is like, no, I don't want this, I don't want that, and yet, like, they had 8 different options and they couldn't agree on that. Theresa May is like, all right, fine, I'll step down. But, like, we don't know who's going to step up and finish negotiations. This is a mess. Aurora, this is a right mess.
Dude, I know. It feels like in 50 years' time, we'll be like, oh, and they're voting for the 95th time on Theresa May's deal. And we're like, fucking enough.
Yeah, your kids are doing a book report. And you're just like, I remember when this started.
Well, yeah, it's like, imagine in a couple of years' time, maybe like 20 years' time, when our kids are like in high school and they're finishing their exams and they're rehearsing what they're going to write in their essay that's like, to what extent did Theresa May ruin the UK economy back in 2019? And it's like, well, I was there. I lived it. It's still happening.
I was there, I can tell you. You know what would be such a gag is if Hillary Clinton called up Theresa May and was like, listen, girl, let's go on vacation. Just
woman to woman.
Let's get away. I mean, look, maybe something positive will come out of this. I think that Hillary Clinton, for a lot of women and people here in the U.S., was such an inspiration, not only in the way that she ran her campaign, but the way that she carried herself, the way she debated, and then the way that she lost. I cannot think of a better way to go through that. I thought it was equal parts honest and regal, but also real. And maybe with all this mess, Theresa May can really emerge as another, powerful woman role model and figure for young girls and young people to look at and say, you know what? That is how you work your butt off to do everything right. And that is also how you lose with grace.
Well, I just wonder, and this is a really sad thought, but whether they would have gotten to 3, maybe 4 votes if we had had a white male prime minister. I just don't think so. I personally do not think so.
No, I don't think so either. It would have been, here's what's happening. Everyone would have been on board and we would have moved on. So, pluses and minuses to everything, but I do hope you guys get everything figured out. But thank you again for joining us. This has just been on the edge of our seats.
Well, it'll be the same for the next 50 years, so tune in, guys.
Know.
I hope you're enjoying this.
Yeah. Well, next week we're going to be back, and we've got a good episode next week. So the Game Over guys, later on in this episode, the Game Over guys are going to come trotting along, and Game Over guys are premiering as their own show. So going forward, it's going to be you, me, Paige, Adriana, and CorBen, and we're just going to hammer this out. But I really like the direction that Dixon Politics is taking, where we're starting off with the news and politics and talking about what's happening in the world. I think it's great. I think we're finally finding our groove. Aurora, thank you very much for joining me and keeping us up to date on the mess. We really appreciate it.
Anytime.
We'll just have to see what happens next week, but stay tuned, everyone, because CorBen is going to be giving us his review of the new movie Us in our segment called
##.
Now, CorBen, I know that last week you went to see the new Jordan Peele movie, Us. Spoiler alert ahead, because I don't think there's any way you can really describe it without giving spoilers away.
Yeah.
But actually, I don't really know if I would consider these spoilers, because it's just part of the film. You don't necessarily know what happens. But why don't you describe the film for us?
First of all, let me just say this is Jordan Peele's second movie that he has written, produced, and directed himself. So the best way I can describe this is, if you're going to watch this, think of it as Alfred Hitchcock, but in 2019. So the movie starts out with our say it for me, Sam. I want to make sure I get this correct. How do we say it?
Okay, it's a doppelganger.
And a doppelganger is what?
A doppelganger with a P, as in ping pong. A doppelganger is basically, it's someone that looks exactly like you, but isn't related to you.
Great. So our doppelgangers, correct me if I say it wrong again.
There you go.
They were created by the creators. Now, when they say creator, they don't really touch on if it was God or if it was like some men in some lab creating an extension of us. They don't really tap on that too much, because it's not important for us to know. But all we know is that these people are on Earth with us, but underground. So they're not in some alternate universe. They're not in some other world. They're physically here on Earth with us, but they're just tucked away underneath in the tunnels and these caves, and they're spread out all throughout the world, right? And where it starts off is they have a flashback with Lupita's character in 1986 when she's a little girl. She runs off from the fairground, and she's in in the famous Hall of Mirrors, as I'm sure we've all been in when we go to the fair. And she winds up seeing her doppelganger, and her doppelganger and here's the twist, winds up trading places with her. Now, in 1986, the little girl, Lupita's character, is about 8 or 10, right? So then fast forward to 20 years later, the little girl's getting revenge. Like the real girl, the real human girl, not the doppelganger. But here's the thing. We don't know if the doppelganger is the hero or the villain. And by the end of the film, we see a shift in terms of...
I'm confused. So Lupita Nyong'o is now a grown woman with 2 children and a husband. They're at the carnival. She goes into a hall of mirrors where she sees her doppelganger. Is it her doppelganger as she is now as an adult, or is it her doppelganger as a child?
Both. So when Lupita's character was a little girl in 1986, she saw the little girl. Something happened. The girl was traumatized. Her parents didn't know what happened. Fast forward 20 years later, same thing. But now, every one of her family member, they all have their doppelganger, and they're sitting there in the living room, and they're getting ready to, like, we're either going to fight to the death or someone's going to come out on top. And that's where it takes off at, and that's where the...
But wait. You just said that they switched places. So do you mean back in 1986, Lupita's doppelganger assumed her role as a human?
Yes.
So real human Lupita has been living down with the doppelgangers, who is someone who does have a soul and who does...
Yes, but you don't see this till about 3/4 of the way in. All I have to say is you just have to go see it for yourself, and it will make so much more sense, because what I like about Jordan's writing so far in his career, he's good about making you think independently for yourself. He does not spoon feed you. And this, Sam, I know this is something that we've talked about, is like when you go to a movie, you want to walk away with, are they or aren't they? Could they or couldn't they have had? I would have gone a different route. the integrity or the morals. Like, he makes you think with his writing, which I think is so good, and I don't think enough writers do that. And if they are, they're not being recognized enough. So I think that makes good writing. So my total review of the whole film, I was a bit thrown off how they started it, but the whole way through, I saw his jab at where he was trying to talk about human morality and having our due, and if given the opportunity, would we be able to live the lives we want to lead without someone behind doors controlling us?
Yeah, I don't know. Adriana, what do you think?
I think that there are so many child actors and actresses right now who are dominating the thriller scene. Like the kids from Bird Box, they were amazing.
There's something to be said for children actors because when given the opportunity, they believe it. They're not adults, so they don't have all these other worldly things and adult problems going through their mind of like, but this is going to make me look silly or feel awkward. No, they believe it and they commit 110%. And so there's no stigma. They don't have any, yes, they may have some training, but it's not as drilled into them as it is for me as someone who's now 24 years old and like through all the classes that I've taken and like learning how to be a child and live in the world of innocence again through my work, you know? So I totally concur. They are dominating the game.
And look at the kids that are in Stranger Things and all those other, the child actors today, I feel like are really, really good. Dare I say better than the ones that we had when we were kids, although, Lindsay Lohan, I do love you very much. She was really talented. But I'm so glad that you're doing well in Connecticut, and I'm glad that you're sort of settling in and finding some people to hang out with, and
for sure.
I really appreciate you giving us a review of this movie, and it's good to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
Well, next up, we've got all of the guys from Game Over. I can't believe I was able to get all 4 of them together. Stay tuned for the last and final segment while it's still under the Dixon Politics umbrella of Game Over. It smells like sweat, Doritos, Mountain Dew, and Axe body spray. Welcome back to Game Over on Dixon Politics. I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is the last time that we're going to have the whole crew together before they premieres their own show next Thursday, April 11th. Mark your calendars. Please join me in welcoming all the way from London, England, Stephen, all the way from Hoboken, New Jersey, Ian and Kirk, and we have a new guy among us. Please join me in welcoming to Game Over, the 4th and final host, Steve from down in Maryland.
Woo! Thanks for having me.
Hey guys, Steve, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Well, we're tickled, and let's clear this right now. So going forward, UK Steven, we're going to call him Byrne. That's his gaming name. And US Steven is going to either be Steve or Steven, whatever rolls off the tongue. So Steve, I have to kind of put you through the inaugural ringer here and ask you, how did you get into gaming? What was the first game you remember playing? And then what is your favorite game of all time? Take it away.
All right. So I pretty much grew up with gaming. Big influence was probably my brother. He started with the original Nintendo NES. But from there, we were pretty well off growing up, so I was fortunate to have that. But we had Super NES, PlayStation, Sega, GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox 360, and then once I grew my wings and flew from home, I picked up the PlayStation 4 and moved on to PC gaming.
Very nice, very nice. So what's the first game you ever remember playing? So let me ask you this. How about first game you ever remember playing and also beating?
Beating is a stretch, but I do remember Lion King on Super NES.
Nice. Okay.
I didn't really
Nobody's beaten that game.
Yeah. I cheated and used the berry code to get the infinite lives, but that was definitely one of the top games. That and Pilot.
Truth comes out. Okay.
Nobody did beat that game.
Think you know a guy.
Yeah.
All right, so what's your favorite game of all time if you had to pick? And then tell us what the game is all about.
So favorite game of all time, definitely going to be Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64. That game was, for those familiar, it's a big Nintendo series, but you're following this guy Link, and it's pretty much rescue the princess in a nutshell. But that was the first time it was like a not really big open world, but it was open world from a Nintendo 64 perspective, I thought. And really set the bar high, so it was definitely a memorable game. It still holds true to this day. It's just one of those games that you can pick up and just get that nostalgia feel.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I really love that. So, all right, let's get into it a little bit here. Stephen, thank you very much for that intro. We are so glad to have you here. And Kirk, you as well. I mean, you know, I had the luxury of being friends with Ian and Byrne in real life, but Stephen and Kirk, I'd never clapped eyes. I still haven't technically clapped eyes on either of you, and I'm just so thrilled that I could convince you to join us. Ian, yes, it's an old saying. Clearly, you are lacking sophistication.
I never clapped eyes before. Sorry.
You've never heard of that? Like when I first clapped eyes on you?
Down at the speakeasy.
No.
You know what? You guys are. This is why I can't. But no, I'm glad to have you here. And so we have, if you've been listening to the show, we've really covered a lot with Game Over. We started off by getting to know the guys and, you know, what's your favorite game of all time and how did you get into gaming? And then the next episode was great because we talked about Twitch and streaming and how huge that is for not only video games but also for esports as well. And then, of course, last week we discussed all the leading consoles of today, how much they cost, and so on and so forth. If you haven't listened to those episodes, it's Twitching the Night Away is where we talk about Twitch, obviously, and then Brex is where we talk about all the different consoles. So something that we touched upon during the Twitch episode was the social element of gaming and how it truly is a place to meet people that you would not meet otherwise or clap eyes on, if you will. And that's a really big reason for why people fall in love with gaming and esports. So, Byrne, I'm going to start with you because I know you've met a lot of friends through gaming. Why don't you tell us about that experience and what it's like to have sort of these modern day pen pals?
So it's funny you should mention that. If you took all of my friends and threw them into a room, for a start, the room would be very cramped. But secondly, there's only about 4 people in that room who I've actually not met through gaming or online. Most of the people who I've met through gaming and online, they're actually closer friends than the friends that I've had for years and years in real life. You know, some people I've known since I was 4 months old. Yeah, we're close. We get drunk together. That's great. But then do I spend 6 hours long raiding with them on World of Warcraft on the release day of Battle for Azeroth? No, I don't think so. But I'm doing that with my gaming friends. You know, I'm spending so much time with these people. I think even my wife's starting to get jealous.
And didn't you meet a couple of your ex-girlfriends through WoW?
I did actually, yeah. I've met 2 of my ex-girlfriends through WoW. And technically, although it's not gaming related, I did meet my wife online as well. So you can meet lots of people online. It's such a social experience in gaming especially. But I think when you're spending so much time with people and you're doing something that you all enjoy, you build up these, you know, really crucial relationships with them. So it shouldn't actually be surprising that you make such a strong relationship with these people because, you know, you're spending, like I said, more time than you spend with pretty much anyone else. If you're a low life like me.
You are not a low life. And you know, I'm so glad that you've had that experience. Kirk, I'm interested to hear from you. Have you met anyone online and have you taken that, you know, into real life? Talk to me about your experience with meeting new friends.
Yeah, so one of my best friends is a guy that I met playing Dota 2 back in 2012, I think, back when servers did not separate by geolocation. So if you got somebody that spoke English, it was a blessing. I met him on there, and we just kind of hit it off, kept playing Dota, started playing Borderlands. I was an usher at his wedding a few years ago, and he's going to be a groomsman at mine this year.
That's really cool. I love that. How about you, Ian? Have you made any friends online? And, you know, Deb, don't worry. I'm sure that if Ian has made friends online, he did it in a way that was safe. Ian, what has been your experience with that?
she's annoyingly going to get a kick out of that. But
Hi, Deb.
no, I've met, like, back in high school, I spent a lot of time playing Call of Duty, and some of those guys I played with, like, I would say became, like, my really good friends throughout high school. Because just like what Byrne was saying before too, you never really notice how long, like, you spend time with these people. And not only competitively playing, it's like you're also interacting and being social with them as well. So I met a few people through playing Call of Duty, but in my real life, I don't have a neat story to say that I have so-and-so here next to me, or I'm not married yet, so nobody's my best man that I met online. So I don't have anything like these guys have.
But Ian, so these people that you were playing with online in high school, did they go to high school with you, or were these just random guys that you'd get matched up with games?
Yeah, it was literally what I played Call of Duty, and what you did back in the day is, like, you become part of a team. Like, you would play competitively with a team, and these were guys who were either, like, the same age of me and maybe a little bit older, but they were all over the United States. Nobody I knew from, like, high school, or actually from, like, New Jersey. I think I was the only guy from New Jersey.
Nice. All right. And how about you, Steve? Have you met anyone? I hate saying it, like, have you met anyone online? But through gaming, is there anyone that you just sort of got matched up with or whatever that you really hit it off with and now you're friends? IRL?
Yeah. I used to be friends. Oh, that's sad to say. But back when I was playing Xbox 360, I had this guy from Canada that randomly him and I were playing Battlefield together. Oh yeah, heavy on the A's. But he was like really one of my good friends through Xbox 360. We were always playing games together. Nowadays it's more or less World of Warcraft. And actually the guild I am with currently, you know, there's a couple people from.
I'm sorry. Wait. The what?
A guild. Usually it's just like, I guess, your social gathering. I guess you could say. Byrne knows what I'm talking about.
It's called the guild.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, okay,
it's like an online community, I guess you could say, specifically for the game.
Do you put together your own guild, or is it like random?
No, you can. You need like in World of Warcraft, you have to have a certain number of people to sign the guild charter to establish it in the game. Oh yeah. So like, I've met, I play with them. I've been, I think, with them now for almost over a year. You know, we keep up with each other, kind of what's going on in our social lives, but every Tuesday and Thursday, I'm there with them for like 3-4 hours. So spend a lot of time. Cool. Oh yeah.
That's really cool. I love that. It is something I said before. I'll say it again. I'm really fascinated by human behavior in general, but male friendships to me are just so, I don't know what it is. I just think they're so cute. So you guys are going to be on your own. Every Thursday, you're going to come out with a new episode, and I know that you guys are like a pack of horses being held at the gate. You are ready to just take this and get into the weeds and blow it up, basically. I'm really excited. So, Kirk, I think I want to start with you. What are you most looking forward to with this podcast, in all sincerity?
In all sincerity, I really want to make people feel comfortable with gaming and make it less of a stigma and more of just, you know, it's a hobby, it's a lifestyle, it's a way to meet friends. I want, you know, kids in high school and maybe even younger to not be ashamed that they're gaming or think they need to hide it. It's a proud thing to accomplish. I think it helps with a lot of skills in life. Mm-hmm. And I want people to feel comfortable in their skin and being able to, you know, be forthcoming with I'm a gamer and not, you know, hiding it.
Yeah. Byrne, what about you? As someone who's been in the industry, you've been gaming your entire life, and, you know, what are you most looking forward to about this opportunity, especially over in the UK?
If I'm honest, the thing I'm looking forward to most is just, it's the shit talking, to be frank. I can't wait to tell some of the stories of, like, moments I've experienced working in the games industry, where you've had people come up and it's like, hey, check out this guy. They're from a company. They're really amazing. Oh, great. He's a gamer? And they're like, yeah, he's a gamer. He's a level 85 warlock, man. He's been playing for 6 years. And you're like, wait, he's been playing for 6 years and he's only level 85?
Scrub.
It's like, you can get from 0 to 110 in, like, at least 2 months if you try hard. Like, so, stuff like that. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. Just sharing fun stories, and basically just sharing who we are with everyone. I think that's just going to be the best fun, letting people get a little window into the kind of people behind the podcast.
Yeah. Steve, what about you? I know this is your first episode. I'm putting you on the spot, but what are you most looking forward to about being involved in the show?
Yeah, so I hope to kind of, with my Instagram, I'm going to try my best to keep up with a lot of gaming news as best I can, sort of like the titles I'm looking out for, stuff that it kind of appeals to my genre. But like Kirk said, kind of Kirk and Byrne sort of echoing off them, tearing down that fourth wall, interacting with the audience, and just, again, being on this common ground of being a gamer is not a bad thing. It's a lot of fun. It's a great way to, meet new people, especially from all over the world. And I just hope to share experiences with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian, what about you?
I mean, to be honest, to quote the Raging Cajun from Old School, what those three guys just said before, that was perfect. I have no rebuttal to what they're saying. That's why I'm 100% on board with this. But not only that, breaking down the whole stigma around gaming is something that I'm really interested in and I want to be able to do with this podcast.
Yeah, every Thursday on iTunes, Spotify, Anchor FM, and of course, GameOverThePodcast.com, you will be able to hear these guys. Their season 1 kicks off Thursday, April 11th. Congratulations, G-Boys. I'm so proud of all of you. I can't thank you enough for joining us, and I'm really looking forward to your season 1. So do you want to help me introduce? We've got Kitlas coming up next. I know you guys love him.
Ooh, I love me some Kitlas.
So coming up next, we've got Mike Kitlas. He's going to give us a really quick rundown about Wrestle Mania. He is sweating already. He is ready to go. He's so excited. And then we're going to get into talking about the NHL with John. He's going to walk me through, just like Kitlas did, we're going to talk about how the game originated, what the rules are, what are the positions, what are the most common injuries, and who are the best players of all time. And we're going to touch on both men's ice hockey and women's ice hockey. So stay tuned. Oh, Michael Kitlas, as I live and breathe, my main man. We're back
Slim
together.
Sammy, what up, girl?
I have missed you. I feel
I
like
know.
It's been a hot chocolate second, but in reality, it really hasn't. We're ready to go, and I know that you have some really exciting news to share with us about wrestling and WrestleMania, so I'm going to back off. I'm going to let you take it.
We're gonna run with it a little bit, and I promise I'll keep my impersonations and impressions to a minimum. So there will be no Dusty Rhodes, there will be no Macho Man. You guys are just gonna hear it directly from me. So this Sunday coming up, the biggest wrestling event of the year, WrestleMania, takes over New York City starting about Wednesday. There will be a bunch of different events throughout the city, but the biggest news to come out of this, the ladies, for the first time in the 35-year history of WrestleMania and the prominence that is the World Wrestling Entertainment, will be main eventing and closing the show at the granddaddy of them all, the biggest pay-per-view of the year. You will have Ronda Rousey. You will have 8-time world champion Charlotte Flair, daughter of Hall of Famer Ric Flair. And you'll have Becky Lynch, the internet's favorite daughter right now, the man. You're going to have the three of them closing it out. And it's such a huge deal and really speaks to how things have changed since the glory days of the 90s and the Attitude Era, where these women, unfortunately, it was more of an attraction. They were there to do your gimmick matches, and a gimmick match is something that's not taken for the sport and the athletic ability that these women can truly do. It is the bra and panties matches, the evening gown matches, the ones that the term is, it's a popcorn match where you would have your kids go up and get a snack, you'd go use the bathroom. It was never something that you'd be in your seat for, and by the time you came back, it would be something that you really wanted to see. So it's great for the sport, it's great for the women and equality, and it's great for everybody involved.
And I'm so happy for you because you have literally been obsessed with wrestling your entire life. And the fact that it's now going to be in your backyard for WrestleMania, I know that you're just tickled. You're sweating. I can see.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And for those that are in the New York City area or are traveling out here for it, Please come find me on Thursday and Friday. I will be at the Melrose Ballroom here in Queens for Major League Wrestling. MLW will be taking over the Melrose Ballroom for 2 nights. Saturday, I will be at Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena, for New Japan Pro Wrestling show. And then Sunday, I will be at MetLife Stadium with 80,000 of my closest friends ready for Mania.
Well, aside from this being in your backyard, there's also some other really exciting news. My man, Colin Jost, I have a slight crush on him. I heard that he's going to somehow be involved in all this. What's that all about?
He is. So, along with WrestleMania, besides seeing the best wrestling, the best athletes in the world competing, you also get a little bit of celebrity fanfare. This goes all the way back to the first one when you had Liberace, you had Mr. T, you had Wendy Richter, you had a lot of celebrities that were there for this. Muhammad Ali was a special guest referee. It's always a part of it. And this year, competing in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, it is a 30-man match where everybody starts in the ring and there's only one man left standing.
What do you mean? So wait, do they all just run around like taking swings at each other?
Yeah, you try to throw out everyone to be the last man standing. And
that sounds awful.
Very famously, 2 years ago, Rob Gronkowski interfered and was able to help one of his former teammates win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. This year, Michael Shea and Colin Yost will be competing to try to win as well.
Hey everyone, it's John. Good seeing you again. Or good talking to you guys again. Been a little busy with my main job, Manhattanville College. Our men's hockey team made the NCAA tournament for the first time in over a decade after we won our conference championship in Utica, which is a rink or a place that we've been to many times and have lost. And we haven't won a game in Utica, let alone a playoff game in over a decade. So, shout out to the 13 seniors, especially our 2 goalies, Scott Nicholas and Tyler Fever. Tyler being a 4-year starter for our program. And I'm really proud of what those 13 guys have done for our program for the last 4 years, and to be involved with that from the very beginning. It's been crazy. And then, so we did all that. And then now I'm talking to you, and I'm in California. I'm here for a little bit of a work trip. Nice. I have a 2-day goalie intensive camp here in Livermore, so it's about 40 minutes outside of Oakland, so I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it's all good.
Well, it sounds like you're sitting right next to me, and I have to bring this up because I think this is hysterical. So, as you guys know, wait, John, do you work for the NHL? Who do you work for, technically?
So I have done stuff, NHL-related stuff.
We all know that you have done things for GQ magazine, but other than GQ, because who do you work for? I know you have your own company, but do you work for the NHL? What is it?
Not technically, no, but I've been affiliated with several different assistant coaches.
Got it.
And have been able to intern with them.
Girl, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, at the pro level. I've been able to intern with them at the pro level, and they've been gracious enough to let me on the ice for different programs and development camps. So if you look in my closet, you see all these NHL hockey coaching jackets, and yeah, I'm lucky to be where I've been, and I have to thank a lot of really good people for opening doors for me and getting me to this point. So.
Well, it sounds to me like a lot of people in the hockey community are very nice, but you had an experience with some Utica fans that was less than palatable, and they knew your name.
Yes.
I felt famous because I'm your friend, and I'm like, that's my friend.
Yeah, so the game 2 of the tournament of the conference championship, we go to Utica. It's, we have to win 2 games. In order to make it. We lost game 1, and then I was like, my mom came up for game 2, and I didn't know this because game 1 I was a little dialed in, and so game 2, walking through the halls, I have to pass a couple of fans while I'm getting coffee, and I hear people call me by my name, John DeCastro, your goalies are terrible, go F yourself, and I'm like, Christ, my mom is in the building. I really hope she doesn't tell anybody that we're related. But she ends up sitting in the Utica student section, and having them she has to hear them basically yell obscenities for 3 hours and then we celebrate at the end of it all. So I think she got the last laugh.
Oh my God.
That one.
Well,
so
we're going to do so congratulations first of all to you and your coach and Manhattanville. I was so proud to see all of you just nailing it every single time you hit the ice. And there were so many seniors on your team, and I'm thrilled that they had this moment that they can carry with them forever. So we're going to do basically what I did with Kitlas. He sort of put you up for the job where he walked us through the MLB, and now you're going to walk us through the NHL. So if we go way, way, way back in history, I understand that hockey was basically it was a pastime, and it was a way that people could play sports and stay active in the winter and get out on the ice a little bit. So big during the colonial period. Shout out to the colonial period. That is like, honestly, I'm such a loser. If I could time travel, I think about this all the time. Like every time I go on a first date, I always ask, I'm like, so if you could time travel, where would you go and why? Because you can tell a lot about a person. Well, for me, I would go back to the Mayflower. And I would go over here. This is why I'm single. But anyways, so I know that it started back then. It was a way for people to just get out, socialize, be active. But then it became pretty legit in like what was it, like the 1900s, 1800s up in Canada, don't you know? So why
That's
don't you
Minnesota.
Oh, shit.
Don't worry about it,
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, okay, so March 3rd, 1875. So in Montreal at the Victoria Skating Rink, basically it's recognized across the world as the first ever organized indoor game. They had boards and everything, and there was a whole, not really a spectacle, but there were nets 8 feet apart. They had boards, like small wooden boards, and the game was conducted under Hockey Association rules. So long story short, it had organized positions, left, right wing, center, defenseman, et cetera, et cetera. But the meat of the order is when we're talking about the NHL. So hockey builds itself to be super popular, and then obviously there is a need for a market rather for entertainment. And more of a professional sport. And the NHL was organized in 1917, in November of 1917, at the Windsor Hotel in Montreal. You know, the original Six era was pretty much like the admin of the NHL.
So one time I got kicked out. Oh no, I didn't get kicked out. I was asked very nicely to leave a Bruins game.
Wow, what did you do? Wait, you got kicked. What did you do to get kicked out of a Bruins game? That's what I want to know.
I was just being rowdy.
So the NHL was founded in 1917, but in the period of the 1920s, there were actually 10 teams, and I'm not going to get into that because then it gets really confusing. But the reason why it goes back down to 6 is so obviously there is the 1920s, right? The Roaring 20s, and then the Great Depression. So the Great Depression, what it did was it basically shrunk the league down, and in the midst of all this financial up and down, you know, at the end of it all, right, 6 teams stood, right, and those were the 6 aforementioned teams that I talked about. So
just like with any sport, I think that the moment we can really feel like it's being taken seriously and it's legit is when championships take place. So, John, when was the first men's hockey championship? 1940 what?
So the 1947, I believe, is the first collegiate championship.
Nice.
For the National Hockey League, the first time everyone knows the Stanley Cup. The Stanley Cup is this beautiful 33-pound piece of silver it's the only trophy in the 4 major sports where your name actually gets etched onto the trophy, and it's part of the history of what makes this game so great. It's unbelievable. I mean, the Stanley Cup playoffs, let me tell you, it's nothing beats it. Like nothing beats it. But
don't take me with you because I'll just get kicked out.
No, I think I don't think you'll want to drink. I think the stress of the game will be too entertaining for you to forget that you have a beer in your hand and you might just throw it in the air in celebration. But
very nice. So then, what about women's? When was the first women's collegiate championship? Because that didn't happen until the early 2000s.
Yeah, 2001 at the national collegiate level, and then there's 2 different women's pro leagues. But again, story for another day. That's a whole new rabbit hole that we can go down in a different episode.
All right, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So we all sort of, I shouldn't say we all, but I'm going to assume that we all sort of understand like what a sports team needs. Like you need people that start up in the front. I think that's called offense. And then you need people in the back, which is defense. Yep. And then you need someone to stand in that net. So, in the goal. So, how many, like, what are the positions, like, how many, God, I'm so bad at this. How many offense people do you have? And then how many defense?
Okay. So, there's 3 forwards, 2 defensemen, and 1 goalie.
There's only 2 defensemen?
2 defensemen, correct.
Really?
There's only 2 defensemen, yeah. So there's 6 players on each side, total of 12 on the ice.
Okay.
So you have 3, each team, at every given moment of the game, there's 3 forwards on each side, 2 defensemen on each side, and the goalie in each net.
How many points is a goal worth?
1.
Okay. And then is it like basketball where, like, if someone's like, no, bing bong, and then they're like, okay, everyone stand here, and the guy is going to take a shot from on this line. Does that happen in hockey?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Each goal is worth 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
Each goal is worth 1 point. And then to answer your question, I think it's coming. You're allowed to fight in the sport.
Okay. Yeah. So are you like, cause I used to play basketball when I was in 6th grade. And I was constantly getting benched because I was way too physically aggressive. And, I have since worked that out and I am a lover, not a shover. But in hockey, like, are you allowed to like straight like punch people or are you just allowed to like shove them? And can you hit them with your stick? Like, what are the boundaries with that?
So fighting is a way of policing the game. It goes back and, it's part of the fabric of the sport. It is a physical sport. There is hitting, there's, post whistle or after whistle shoving that takes place in the game, but that's just in the spirit of competition.
Mm-hmm. So it is loud.
Yes, it is.
Okay. But do people just like skate up to each other and like punch the other person in the face?
No, you definitely get a penalty for that.
Okay.
A referee penalty. It's all regulated.
For a friend.
It's all regulated. Do not worry. It's all regulated.
Okay. How many layers of padding are these guys wearing? Because, you look at baseball and like other than that man that's squatting by the home plate, the
catcher.
Yes. The catcher, aside from him and like when they come out, they have their little helmets on, like baseball makes me so nervous because they're not protected at all. But like hockey also makes me nervous because I'm afraid, I was saying to Kitlas, like I'm afraid that like either a blade is going to cut someone or like the puck is going to slide right between the helmet and the shoulder pads and it's going to hit someone in the artery and they're going to die. But okay, so you have layers and layers of stuff on. Do they also wear mouth guards?
We do.
Okay.
Players will wear helmets. Obviously, that's a mandate. That in the NHL now, you have to wear a visor, and a visor is basically a piece of plastic, clear plastic that protects your face from pucks and skate blades, and protects your eyes and everything like that.
Okay. Yeah. And you also have to wear mittens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Gloves.
Jeez. Yeah.
Gloves. We call them mitts. Don't worry. Mittens. Silky mitts is a term for someone who knows how
until, like, you get me out on the ice and put me in all. You were so funny. I'm like, John, I want to get on the ice. And you're like, okay, I'll go grab some pads from the youth team.
Yeah. Well, okay.
I can't wait though.
Story time with John. So we did the thing with GQ that you saw. And by the way, everyone, thank you for your support with that piece. That was such a phenomenal thing to shoot. We went over to the rink and and they sourced their own gear, but the guy didn't know how to put it on, and he gets all excited because finally they taught him how to put his pads on the right way. For goalies, there is a right way to put your leg pads on. And I walk in the room first day to shoot, and I'm like, buddy, your pads are on the wrong leg. Like, what are you doing?
Okay, let's talk about the sticks. Yeah. What are they made out of? Are they wooden?
Up until the beginning part of the decade of this century. Wow, what the heck? It's 2019. No months. Jesus Christ. Jesus. At the beginning part of the century, they started. The shift went from wooden sticks, which were heavier. Obviously they're cheaper to make, but they're heavy, harder to bend, harder to manipulate. Companies started coming up with one-piece composite, so fiberglass, Kevlar, more lighter weight materials, heavy-duty construction, carbon fiber materials, and they started creating one-piece sticks that were a lot lighter. And as the years have gone by, these sticks have gotten lighter and lighter and lighter, and now you're seeing a new wave of players that don't have to. I don't want to say they don't have to be strong, but they don't have to be putting so much effort into shooting hard, rather.
Okay.
So, for example, I look like when I go out there, when I coach and everything, and we run drills and I get a shot on net, I look like I can play still. And I know I don't have a hard shot, but the sticks that I use are custom fit for me, and I'm lucky enough to have them, and they make me look like a sharpshooter out there, when in reality, I'm not that good.
Okay, well, please be sure to share that stick with me so that I, too, can look like a sharpshooter. So, John, tell me about, in an average game, how high does the scoreboard go? Like, will it get up into the hundreds?
No.
Tell me about a normal sort of scoreboard.
Average games that you're seeing nowadays in the NHL, like, it's really not that. It used to be really like soccer, where you get in games like 1-0, 0-0, 3-0. Especially in the 90s when hockey wasn't as wide open as it is now. And then after the major lockout, believe it or not, the NHL was the only major league of the four major sports to have its whole season canceled in 2004, 2005. The NHL lost the full season due to a labor dispute. And what happened on the other side of that, when they went back the next year in 2005, 2006, the league was wide open. And all of a sudden you're seeing guys who only put up 30 points, like a Jonathan Chichu for San Jose, all of a sudden score 56 goals and have a 100-point season. Jesus. Something he never did again. And so the game now, you're seeing a lot more higher scores, 4-2, 5-2, 7-4. I know the Islanders played Winnipeg a couple weeks ago, and they came back to win a game 5-4. So you're seeing games, with this great new pace that we have in the sport, games are becoming more entertaining. So it's pretty cool to watch.
All right, so top 5, not including the guys that are out now. Like when you think of hockey, top 5 most legendary players, both male and female. Go.
Okay. I want to use this list to kind of incite argument and debate. So, in my opinion, all right, if we're going to work our way backwards, number 5 for me would have to be Patrick Roy, goaltender for the former goaltender, Hall of Famer, won multiple Stanley Cups with Colorado and Montreal. Number 4, we're looking at Brett Hull. Number 3, we'll go with Mario Lemieux, the current owner of the Pittsburgh Penguins, multiple Stanley Cup winner, was the savior of that franchise. And then number 2 for me would be Bobby Orr. I would pick Bobby Orr over Gordie Howe any day. Bobby Orr, for me, greatness comes from how you transcend your position and how they changed the game, like how you yourself can influence that sport to change how they play. Bobby Orr made the defenseman more offensive just by his singular presence. And then number 1, it's a toss-up between Wayne Gretzky and Gordie Howe. Wayne Gretzky, great one, all-time points leader, all-time goals leader, all-time assists. If you take Wayne Gretzky's goals away, he's still and he just has his assist, he still blows away the rest of the field. He's still the record point getter in the NHL.
Nice. All right, what about women? Give me top 5.
Top five, man. I would start with 5. Angela James. She is a trailblazer for Canadian women's hockey. Hockey Hall of Famer, won a gold medal in Nagano. Number 4, I would put Cammy Granato. She won a gold medal with the '98 U.S. national women's team. The first time they won a gold medal. Ironically, the first time women's hockey was a sport recognized in the Olympics. The Americans won, and Cammy Granato was the captain of that team. Mm-hmm. Number 3, I would put goalie Shannon Zabados in that mix. She had a run, a crazy run, silver medalist in Pyeongchang in 2018, 1 gold in Sochi, 1 gold in Vancouver. Animal.
She's not to be messed with.
Top goalie in the National Women's Hockey League for Buffalo, and then had a stint playing men's pro in the Southern Professional League. I think a couple of years ago. Number 2, Haley Wickenheiser. Just from her contributions to Hockey Canada, she was the Canadian captain for forever. It feels like. And then number 1, Angela Ruggiero. I have so much respect for her. I was able to meet her a couple of times, and Miss Ruggiero, I mean, for the stuff that she's done for women's hockey in the United States, and now she serves on the executive board for the IOC.
It's so hard to rank, because everyone, as you said, they're so passionate, and it's the thing about hockey, which other athletes are like this as well, but like the thing about hockey is it's just like, for me, it's the one sport where you really just have your freaking heart on your sleeve and you're giving it all you've got, because there's only 6 people on the ice, or, 5 plus you from your team, whereas, I don't know. I think that's fantastic. Good list.
The one thing we should do is have like a company outing to a playoff hockey game, and you're going to see guys play.
I've been waiting. Because
we'll do that.
Kitlas is not taking me to Wrestle Mania. He's made that abundantly clear. So I'm waiting, I wanted you to do this show so that I could go to games with you. Just I'm so annoying with the game over guys. I'm always like, can we play games? Can we play Fortnite? How about now? Who wants to play Fortnite now? And they're like, can you go away? I'm like the annoying little sister.
If I can secure tickets to get us to a playoff game, we'll make it happen. But
oh my God, I'm already sweating. Okay, so John.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to share with everyone that the Game Over guys, this is their last episode with Dicks and Politics, and then I'm pushing them right out of the net. So that means that they're going to clear off the couch, and you and Kitlas can take a seat and get comfortable, because you will be now going forward a regular part of Dicks and Politics until you're ready to spread your own wings. Now, John, I don't know if you've ever done this before, but we're actually ending the episode right now.
Whoa.
It's happening. Have you ever done the sign out with me?
No, I have not. So now I'm sweating. My goodness.
Okay. Are you ready? Get ready. Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning into Dicks and Politics. We come to you every single Wednesday with a plethora of different topics, and I love that you guys are tuning in. You're flexible. You have a multitude of interests. We're having a lot of fun doing this, and we will be back next Wednesday. So, my name is Samantha.
And my name is John.
And you have just listened to
Dicks
and Politics. Very good, John. You did it. Yay. See you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to Dicks and Politics.
Digestible and unfiltered content about men, money, and moments.
New episodes every Wednesday.
Don't forget to subscribe.